guys, today we will learn about quadratic inequalities. We've been solving quadratics by taking the square root, by factoring, by using the quadratic formula, and today we will write it all out, not just the equations but also the inequalities. Since you already know how to solve the quadratic function, that's how we're going to start out. So let's just pretend this is just a regular equation. Equation has the equal sign right there. Okay, I will solve this by factoring. So I will definitely look for two numbers that multiply to -6 and same two numbers that add up to -1. So I have x minus 3, x plus 2. So -3 times 2 is -6. -3 plus 2 equals -1. Okay? So now, the next thing we need to do from when we did solving quadratic equations, the next step is to set each factor equal to 0 and solve. X minus 3 is a factor, x plus 2 is a factor. So here we go. So x minus 3 equals 0, x plus 2 equals 0. Add 3 to both sides right there. This is 0, so x equals positive 3. Minus 2 from both sides. This is 0, so x equals -2. So at this point, all we did was to solve this quadratic equation. And then you say, but this is not an equation, this is an inequality, because I have the less than equal sign, less than sign right there. Okay, so just to add the visual, because I know some of you are trying to visualize this whole thing. So this is my x-axis. If I were to graph this parabola, it would look like a smiley face, like this, and then it would cross the x-axis right there at 3, and it would cross the other one right there at -2. Okay, and 0 should be over here somewhere. All right, now, going back to when we first did inequalities, that less than sign is telling me that it should be an open dot if I were to graph just a single variable. So I'm going to write it out. Open dot. That means the answer does not include the number. So it's greater than -2 or less than -2. But at this point, I don't know yet which one that is. So it will be open dot. And the less than also means I would shade below. Remember when we graphed inequalities? Okay, so now at this point, we're bringing them all together. Solving quadratics, writing inequalities, everything. Okay, but we are smart, we can do it. So here we have, remember the number line? So this is my number line. I have -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, 3. So I have an open dot right here. Open dot right here at -2, and open dot right here at 3. Okay? Now, because I'm supposed to shade below, this is below. Okay? So the below is everything between -2 and 3. This is below. Okay, we're almost done. Now, remember when we wrote compound inequalities? That's exactly what this is. So the compound inequalities, you shall write like this. -2, x is everything in between, and 3. So x is everything in between -2 and 3. And it's less than and less than. The way you read it, you read x is, you can't see, x is less than 3, and -2 is less than x. So these signs will always be less than because x is in between those two numbers. So -2 is less than x. X is less than 3. Okay? I will go ahead and attach a couple videos to help you with the compound inequalities, solving quadratics, and all the other things that you might be a little iffy about. Okay, the good thing is this is very similar to this one. I say similar because they're not the same. This one is greater than. It's still open dot, but it's greater than, so we need to shade above. I already know from the other question that my answers should be between 3 and -2. Okay, so if we didn't, we would have to go through the whole process. Okay, and that's fine. We already know how to do that. I just want to get to the bottom line. Okay, so here's the visual. Here we go, my x-axis, same parabola from number 1. This is x -2, this is x3. All right, now above. Where is above? Above is right here. Above. So everything is in comparison to the x-axis, okay? This is above. Above. Notice that this arrow indicates that it keeps going all the way over there forever on those two directions. Okay, here I am with my pretty little number line. So I have -2, I have 3, I have 0 somewhere over here, and then -3, -4, -5, 4, 5, 6. Okay, I know that it's open dot because it tells me right there. Also tells me right there. Now the above, notice that it's going that way. Going that way. That way. So where's x? What is x? X is there. X is there. How do I write that? Well, x is everything going that way, -2. So x is less than -2. Or x is everything going that way. That way. So x is less than -2, or x is greater than 3. Last one. So now this one. Let's set this equal to 0. So add 1 to both sides. You have 3x squared minus 6x plus 1 is less than or equal to 0. If you were to try to factor, you multiply 3 by 1 and then you get a 3 right there. You can't factor. So when factoring doesn't work for you, you have to use the quadratic formula. So in the quadratic formula, we learn how to do the equations, we learn how to plug stuff in, and this is no different. So you know I like to start out by just finding the determinant, so b squared minus 4ac. That way, if I make a boo-boo here, it's easy for me to fix. So b squared minus 4ac. Let's highlight the stuff that I have, or at least label what you have. So a is the number in front of x squared. So a is 3, b is -6, and c is 1. Remember, the standard form is ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. Okay? A, b, and c. A, b, and c. Okay, we're all on the same page now. So b is right there, -6. A is 3. C is 1. Okay, so here I have 36 minus 12 is 24. You know from the other video when we were solving quadratic functions using the quadratic formula that you will have to eventually simplify this square root of 24. So since we're here, might as well. So you're going to simplify the square root of 24. So you simplify the square root of 24 as 4 times 6 is 24. Square root of 4 is 2. Square root of 6. Okay, so now we just simplified that. Okay, let's go back. X equals opposite b. Should I write the quadratic formula here? Okay. So x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac, everything divided by 2a. Okay, so negative b. b was negative 6. Two negatives make a positive. So 6 plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac. I got b squared minus 4ac is 24. I simplified. I got 2 square root of 6. 2 square root of 6. Everything divided by 2a. 2a is 3. If you want to go ahead and make that a 6, you can. It doesn't matter to me. Now, you have to be able to simplify this fraction. So this is 6. So let's go ahead and rewrite this. When I look at 6, at 2, and this 6, I know I can divide this by 2, this by 2, this by 2. The square root of 6 doesn't change, doesn't go anywhere. You don't do anything with it. You leave that alone. Okay, so here I have x equals, divide everybody by 2, okay? So 3 plus or minus 1, you can choose to put a 1 or not, doesn't matter. Square root of 6 over 3. So now, this is my final answer. We did all of this just to come up with the equation, but that's not the question. The question is asking the inequality. And you're like, how in the world am I going to be able to graph this thing? Because I don't have these numbers. You kind of do. So you still have two answers. One, where you add the square root of 6. So it's 3 plus square root of 6 over 3. The other one, you subtract square root of 6. 3 minus square root of 6 over 3. Let's put that in your handy-dandy calculator. So we're just going to get an approximate number. So alpha y equals 3 plus square root of 6 over 3. So that number is about 1.82. Let's just use 2 decimal places. And then the other one is minus square root of 6. So minus square root of 6, 0.18. Okay? So at this point, I have those two. This is my pretty little x-axis. My parabola right there. And I have 0.18. And I have 1.82. All right, we're getting somewhere. This is a solid dot. That means it includes the number. And we shade below. So below is right there. So that means if I were to draw the number line, I have 0.18. I'm going to zoom in because you can barely see it. I have 0.18 and 1.82. Close dot. Close dot. And x is everything between those two numbers. How do you write that? I'm just going to write it right here. So I know 0.18, x is in the middle, 1.82, less than, you can see right there, or equal to, because it's closed dot. Ta-da! We survived, guys. All right. I'll see you next time.